So I watched Rings of Power, and it could have been worse. The first 2 episodes of Amazon's brand new series, The Rings of Power, has dropped this past Friday. And of course, with that release came many reviews, different hot takes, and of course, criticism. Even Elon Musk got involved somehow. But this review is the only one that matters, obviously. So let's see if Bezos' big purchase actually paid off. But before we get into that, guys, if you guys enjoy content like this and want to see more, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Episode 1 is your typical episode 1. It has a lot of setting up, a lot of introduction to different characters. Right off the bat, I kind of enjoyed the first 5 to 10 minutes of the show. The explaining of the elves and their battle with Morgoth was interesting to me. Just a quick disclaimer before we continue, I do want to point out that I only ever read The Hobbits and watched the Peter Jackson's films. Just want to point out that I'm not claiming or want to be portrayed as some Tolkien scholar. So when I'm watching the show, I'm not really watching it and, comparing, contrasting with the source material because I never read it. Like I said, some of the shots were really cool, especially the eagles fighting the Nazgul birds, or I believe they're called Hellhawks, maybe? I actually lied. I actually am a Tolkien scholar. The big battle with the elves and the orcs in the rain was pretty cool. And even seeing the elves ship sail across the sea was kind of beautiful to look at. Unfortunately, after this epilogue, I thought things went downhill pretty quick. We get to see Galadriel continue her quest and find evil. And you know what? I'll say it. I don't like Galadriel, okay? She's a bit of an asshole, in my opinion. They get jumped by an ice troll in the beginning of this, and then they all quit, and she's surprised about that. It's like, dude, you were such an asshole to them. You didn't really care for them or give them respect. So it's yeah, after almost dying, of course they want to quit. The next set of characters we get introduced to are the Harfoots, or hobbits. Apparently they're a different breed of the hobbits, but Warner Brothers still owns those rights, so Amazon calls them Harfoots. Of course, with the Harfoots, we get introduced to our 2 new characters, Frodo and Nori and Poppy. Not too much to say about the Harfoots here because, again, this is still the first episode and they're setting things up, I guess. Elrod is here, and he is such a nerd. Look at this nerd writing in a book. I like this one bit of dialogue from the scene. I just found this so funny.
Was there anything else?
Yes. Your friend has arrived.
She's here. Why didn't you say so?
My guy. She literally just told you she was here. This is just one of many examples of the bad dialogue. I don't think it's terrible in the sense that you don't understand them, but I think it's bad in the sense that you watch some scenes and you're just that probably could have been said a lot better. But comparing the dialogue with the original Peter Jackson films, it's just night and day to me. In the original films, it seems like every line of dialogue had meaning and purpose to the story, and honestly, real life. Especially when Gandalf is speaking.
End? No, the journey doesn't end here. Death is just another path.
I know people will say,
oh, don't compare it to the films. It's different.
Well, you can't just have Lord of the Rings in the title and expect people not to compare it to the films. Let's move on to another one of my favorite scenes from episode 1. Racism, but not what you think. We get introduced to Arondir, who is a dark-skinned elf. Now, there's much controversy surrounding this character because Tolkien's elves are described to have the whitest skin ever, so it goes a bit against the lore. I find this scene super hilarious, and I'm probably not supposed to.
What day was he here?
Oh, let it go, knife is.
But from the information we gathered, we're supposed to believe that there's beef between the humans and the elves. But the one time we see a human spew some sort of racist remark to an elf, he's the only black elf in the universe. We don't like your kind around here. Why? Because I'm black? No. It's because you're an elf. Obviously. Is this the reason they hired a black actor to play this elf? Because they can't depict racism without having two different skin tones? Last thing I want to talk about this episode is the ending. The meteor felt weird to me, but I also kind of liked it. You know, just the part with it crossing the sky and it kind of connects everyone's story together. Then we get to see the mystery man. Ooh, a lot of speculation on who this guy is. It's Jesus. Like Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, this show is pretty bad. Moving on to episode 2. For the majority of this episode, I had to keep reminding myself that this is taking place in Middle Earth. Honestly, if it wasn't for the dwarf scenes in episode 2, I probably could believe this is just another fantasy TV show. A couple of scenes I want to talk about. First is the dwarf rock breaking competition. I just love when we get games or weird traditions because it kind of builds more of the world we're in, even though it's kind of dumb, but you know, I enjoyed it. Also, I don't know if this is me or not, but I felt like the height between Elrond and the dwarfs was off. In some shots, I thought Elrond looked, you know, way bigger than the dwarfs, and in others, I thought he was like shorter or maybe like closer to their size, but this could just be me, honestly. We get to see Disa next, who is our first female dwarf of color on screen. A lot of people were upset because when images first came out of this character, it was a female dwarf without a beard. But, hate to say it, guys, but she definitely has a beard in this show. So, suck on that, haters. And I know this actress has gotten memed on for months now, but honestly, I thought her acting was pretty enjoyable. But this dinner scene overall just felt like pointless to me. We follow Elrond to see the dwarfs because he has a proposal for them. And by the end of it, we don't even hear the proposal. Galadriel shows up again and she's still an asshole. At the end of last episode, she abandons the ship, leaving her to swim for miles across this sea. But luckily, she gets saved by this raft. Upon getting saved, she immediately chugs the water, and then the guy's like, no, we need answers first. She lies to them, and then she acts pissed when they find out. Oh, this is gonna be a tough season to get through. And then a giant sea creature they call the worm comes in, and as soon as she sees it, she dips. But after all that, she still gets saved by the white guy. Another plotline I want to bring up is that Browen, the lover of the black elf, tries to convince the village that they're being attacked by some monster. And all of a sudden, Rings of Power turns from fantasy to horror. Big scary monster. Woman hides in a closet with a little peek hole. Monster's 1 second there, and when she looks again, monster disappears. To end the episode, we see the dwarves complaining about Elrond and asking if he knows. Knows what? Well, they open a box. And, yeah. So, the first 2 episodes of Rings of Power, are they good? It's very meh. It's definitely not as epic as Amazon set it out to be. Some visuals are cool, but the dialogue and pacing are pretty bad. I get it, it's the first 2 episodes, and they do seem to be setting up more things for later in the season. But some scenes just feel unnecessary and very, very boring. The characters just seem like more generic fantasy characters, except for Galadriel. I hate Galadriel. I dislike her more and more with each scene she is in. Last thing before I wrap up, I do want to talk about what's going on with some of the reviews on the show. Amazon said they're holding viewer reviews for a while, which is a bit odd. So right now on Amazon, as of recording this, it's showing 0 out of 5 stars on their site. Now, if we take a look at IMDb, there are review bombs happening both ways. The show is definitely not a 1. And the show is definitely not a 10. But let's look at their user reviews. Lowest I can find at this time of recording is a 6-star review. And there's nothing showing for 5-star reviews or below. Who knows, maybe the 20,000 people plus who rated the show a 1 star didn't want to write a review on IMDb. Now, I hate to be a conspiracy theorist or anything, but IMDb is owned by Amazon. Amazon is also doing something weird with their viewership numbers too. They said 25 million people sampled the premiere of their show. But what does sampled mean? This is the only data they've really released on their numbers. Maybe a lot of people watch the show, or maybe something fishy is happening. Who knows? Did you guys watch the first 2 episodes of Amazon Prime's The Rings of Power? If so, let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe. And to catch up on all my other videos, click on this link right here. That is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.